And good morning. Welcome to take 227 of Miss Wilson's alto sax setup. So, hopefully this one goes over well. The first thing I'm going to do is take out my reed. I tell students that this reed is like the most important thing. It needs to be treated like gold, so they're not to be talking to anyone, they're not to be distracted, they're literally to be looking at this little piece of magic while they take it out of the case. So slowly out of the case, and then they put it in their mouth, this whole light area in their mouth, and I just have them leave it there. I have them leave it there their entire setup. There's a few reasons I do this. One, so that they actually put it in their mouth. When I first came to this school in particular, they weren't putting any of the reeds in their mouth, which I was a little bit confused about. But the second reason is that if it's in their mouth, they're going to be quiet the entire time. And there's already enough chaos and noise going on in the music room that we could really use that sort of calmness. So that's why I have them put it in their mouth the whole time. So there's the reed. There's what you treat like gold. I always tell my students that this one time I went to a music studio to ask someone who knew more than myself some questions about the saxophone. And when I brought it there, I had forgot my reeds. How I did that, I don't know. But I forgot it, and so I had to go up to the front and I had to buy a set of reeds. And for 3 reeds, it cost me, I think it was 16 something. Now, obviously music studios overprice because they need to make money too. But if we broke that down into $5 a reed, that is crazy. So half of my class has reed instruments. That's 15 students times $5 a reed, which is $75 for that class to have their reeds. If they broke their reeds every single class, that is $75 for one class, $150, $225, $300, $300 for 4 classes. I have more than 4 classes, and I have more than 4 classes I teach. I teach 2 7s, 2 8s, so imagine them all. That's thousands of dollars a year if they broke the reeds every single visit. So it's super important that they take care of them. I don't mind replacing them, but I shouldn't have to replace everyone's every single class. So treat these like gold. Put it in your mouth, gently take it out of the case, and when you're done, gently put it back in the case. And make sure you're handling it with care. So they'll have the reeds in their mouth while they're setting up. The next thing we're going to go over to is the case, which might seem like common sense for you to open it the right way, but it's actually not. The buckles, if I'm going to show you the case right here. Okay, so let's see how my angle is there. The buckles tend to, what I've noticed is if they're towards the top of the case, that means it's the right way up, because the bulk of the case, the thicker part of the case holding your instruments, is at the bottom closest towards the floor. Also, you can look towards labels. I hope you can see that in the picture. There's usually some sort of label on top, and that'll tell you that if the label's on top, then the top is facing you, and so it's the right way. So I'm gonna open up my case. So reed should be my mouth. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out my neck strap, nice and cushiony, to make playing the saxophone a little bit easier because it is a heavy instrument. Then I'm gonna take my instrument out by the bell, and I'm going to clip it onto here. Just press this button and clip it on. That way, if it should fall for whatever reason, it is a heavy instrument that doesn't go anywhere. Your neck is holding it up. Okay, so it's clipped on. Great. And then I'm going to go get the neck, which looks like this. I'm gonna undo this. I'm gonna loosen it so that this part can fit on here. If it doesn't fit in easy, I could just put some cork grease on it. It does fit in easy, so we don't need to do that. Okay, I'm gonna tighten it a little bit, but not too much, because I'm going to want to move it a little bit when I put my mouthpiece on. Then I'm gonna go get my mouthpiece. Now, sometimes students come up to me, they'll say, Miss Wilson, I don't have a mouthpiece. My mouthpiece is gone. Or my mouthpiece doesn't connect to my instrument. And I go and I look at them and I say, well, do you have the right mouthpiece? The one with the cork around the base of it is the clarinet mouthpiece. Sorry. I have a cold. My voice really hurts. Okay, so the one with the cork around it is the clarinet mouthpiece. And if it doesn't have a cork around it, then that is your saxophone mouthpiece. So we're then going to put that on our piece of cork here. We're not going to fully cover it. We're just going to kind of twist it on. Okay, about halfway is fine. Doesn't need to go any further than that. And then we're going to go get our ligature, which looks like this. Again, looks the exact same as the reed one, except it's a little bit bigger. And it should actually have it written in silver on the top. It should say alto sax, so that you know it's for the alto saxophone. Not that you're trying to shove a clarinet ligature on, which is a little bit smaller. So then I'm going to take my reed, my precious reed that I'm going to treat like gold, and I'm going to put it flat part against the mouthpiece. Take my ligature, make sure it's loose. Probably should have done this before I picked the rest of it up. Make sure it's loose, and then I'm going to put the thicker part of the ligature, thicker part over top on first. So it goes over top. Great. Now, the idea that I'm going for here is that when I look at the mouthpiece reed combination, I'm going to balance this on my table, mouthpiece reed combination, that the mouthpiece is the highest point, not the reed. If the reed's coming up like this, then it is too high. The mouthpiece, the little black part, should be the highest point, and the reed should be just a sliver below that. And then once you have that in place, it all seems lined up, you only see a little bit of black peering over the reed, then you can go and you can tighten these little knobs here. You don't want to over tighten them so that you're actually breaking or cracking the wood. I mean, I haven't tried to do that, but I'm assuming you can. But just so that it's firm is fine. Okay, so that's all right. Okay, so I'm going to bring my instrument back to me, and I'm going to tighten this in a position where I want it in. So my saxophone is going to sit off the right-hand side of my body. I'm actually sitting on a chair right now. Probably isn't the best, but so now I have it in a kind of general area I want it. Then I'm going to tighten the rest of this fully so it doesn't move the neck. Okay, so that's there. Then I'm going to go to the neck strap. So the saxophone should be able to kind of glide into your mouth swinging, which it does. So I don't need to tighten it or loosen it, so that's fine. Then I'm going to go to the fingering. There are like a million buttons on here. There's a whole bunch of white ones, nice white pearly round ones. There's some, where are we? There's some little wing looking ones over here. At the bottom, there's some more white ones, and then some silver ones. There's buttons everywhere. It's quite overwhelming. I tell my students, for what they're going to be learning, to glue their fingers as such. Finger number 1, starting with the pointer finger. We're going to skip the first white pearly button, go to the second one. Then we're going to skip the next guy. Butt finger, middle finger. The next guy, fourth one. So we're skipping the first and third pearly white one, and then your pinky's just going to kind of hang out in the middle of nowhere, eventually go on one of these buttons sometime. Your thumb at the back is going to be over here on this black part. Okay, else it could be pressing this if your music indicates such. Then on the bottom part, so let's place my fingers back where they should be. On the bottom part, my thumb is going to go underneath this part to kind of support the saxophone, and then these 3 fingers are going to go in order on the pearly whites. 1, 2, 3. Pinky hanging out somewhere to play something silver over here. Okay, so my fingers are in place. It should look like this. Okay, when you go to actually look at the alto sax book, I don't know what your book is, mine's Standard of Excellence, and it actually breaks down in picture form what the note looks like. That's what it is referring to. So we're looking at B right here. There are there is a line that divides between your left hand and right hand. So there's that line right there. Top being your left fingering, bottom being your right fingering. So the 3 holes at the bottom are pretty self-explanatory, and the 3 holes at the top are fine. That little teardrop looking thing, that is supposed to be where your thumb goes. The little thing that looks like a teardrop on the left-hand side of the black circle. This particular one has just, for the note of B, has just that 1 circle colored in. So that would mean that your first finger is going to be the only one that is actually pressing down on the note. So if your finger stayed in the position every single time you picked up your sax, you picked it up like this, that very first fingering is the one that's going to be pressed down, because that was the one that's colored in. Not that people start shuffling their fingers all over the place. Leave your finger where I put it. Okay? And that is the basics of your fingering. Teardrop at the back again, meaning this part, and that would be the part your thumb would press down. So when you go to actually blow into the instrument, you don't want kind of like puffy cheeks so that it's, you want to centralize your air kind of through your teeth area. Your teeth are going to hit the top of the mouthpiece, and then your lip is going to sit on the bottom of it, and you don't want to kind of be overeating it like you're super hungry. Just at the base is super fine. So like that. And I'm not gonna actually blow it right now because that's a whole nother story, and this video, I'm sure you don't want to be watching for the next 30 minutes. So that is my briefing on the saxophone. I hope I didn't forget anything, and I hope if you were a new learner that it would have taught you something.